So, hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and well, this is again on the camera only audio because I've pretty much decided that, yeah, it's good enough. Setting up the microphone is actually like quite a hassle, so yeah. This is the e-power board that I made out of the also awful GTX 580 from Zotac that I killed in the longest video I've made to date. And this thing actually works. And now I've said this before about this e-power, which doesn't really work, not in the way that I've said. But this one actually works. vCore at least. vMem has problems, just like here vMem works, but vCore has problems. So yeah. But having a vCore e-power is more better than having a vMem e-power. So what I could theoretically do is just use both of these, and then I can e-power both core and memory, which I would have to do on my 460 SE because that memory rail is doing some weird shit and is giving me way too low voltage. So yeah, I might have to e-power that. But yeah. So this one actually works. This one, I haven't messed with this at all. You can see I removed the second regulator, which is this now, because I didn't end up needing that. And I mean, let's just leave it in the camera, more to see. So yeah, this is the GTX 580 that I killed. You can see where I made the cut. I have to remove these. I could theoretically just remove this because I've pretty much given up on getting the memory to work on this because, well, I tried to fix whatever was wrong around, like I was suspecting something was wrong around the controller, like maybe it's missing enable or 3.3 volts. And while removing the plastic that I had over it, it's reattached now. But I ripped off the cable that the volt mod, and it destroyed one of the resistors. I soldered it back on and hoped that it would just work, but no, it didn't, and at this point I don't really care. So yeah, but the core works. I think I'm gonna cut this part of the base plate away because I'm gonna use these pads as solder points, because, like, well, the back is kind of occupied already. And yeah, so this is the reference 6-phase of a GTX 580. I guess you could take a look at it. Thermal pads on this are okay. It's not the same thermal pads you have on the usual cards, which fall apart. So yeah, and I'm gonna give you a tour of the e-power board and like say what I did and like try to give you a quick rundown of how it works. I mean, if you know how a VRM works, it's not gonna be that hard, because technically I'm just making the thing believe. Oh, I forgot that screw. Technically I'm just making this board believe that the rest of the card is still there. And that's pretty much it. Oh, I don't wanna damage that connection. And I forgot another screw. Okay, now. Yeah, so reference 6-phase VRM. It's actually not quite reference because Zotac uses these MDU MOSFETs, which are, from what I can tell, even worse than the one that NVIDIA uses. But they were good enough to run the card at 1.25 volts using NVVDD. And I'm not gonna put this on another 580, I'm gonna put this on like the 460 or GTX 970, which should have a lot less power draw or current draw. Yeah, so there's nothing really on the front. You can see I had a wire here because I thought memory wasn't working because it wasn't getting 12 volts. Turns out it did get 12 volts with this, but then it still didn't work and I removed it. I also desoldered the INA 219s, the power monitoring things, just to check what happens. You can just like Nothing really happens except that the power reading, which is totally messed up on 500 series, disappears in GPU-Z, but the card works as normal. Yeah, so nothing really on the front. I painted the inductors because they look better in black. And that's pretty much it. The rest is happening on the back. So this was still here before. The lower potentiometer is memory volt mod, the one on top is core. But when I e-powered the card, like when you cut it, there's something you have to change about this core potentiometer. So you see there's another one here. These two potentiometers are in series. So you can kind of see here, down here, where I connected them. This just used to go straight to ground, but I put this in series with it. Because the way the volt mod works on this is you don't, on the CLJ-A266, you don't like skew a feedback circuit. As far as I understand it, you actually just skew the die sense. And when you cut the card and the die is no longer there, that kind of changes around. And I think this is a 100 ohm potentiometer, this is a 1000 ohm potentiometer. Because if you use the 100 ohm one, the VRM just shuts down. Because, well, resistance is all over the place. So you put the 1000 ohm potentiometer in there and it's all fine. I didn't really want to remove this because it's all plastic in place, so I just put this one in series and like put it up on longer cables because I want to access it, and like this is gonna be the lower part of the car when of the power it's attached. So yeah, but I have voltage control now. Like right now it's set to like 1.16 volts, I think. Without this it was just spitting out 1.05 volts. So yeah. And the thing that I did to get this to work is it's actually quite simple for this one. So all the red wires except this white one is ground. But this wire is for the volt mod. This is the volt mod. That's the volt mod. Only this white wire is another important one. Apart from that, only the red wires are what. Yeah, these are what making making the e-power work. So there's a 3.3 volt buck converter right here. I've just hooked it up, like that's ground from one of the volt mods. I just soldered it there. And this is just hooked up to 12 volts from the 6 pin. And this powers this little buck regulator. And it's set to put out 3.3 volts. Now this is hooked up to 3 places. One place is right here on one of these solder pads. And then the other ones are to several capacitors and resistors that are connected to the VCC pin of the CLJ-A266. I think this connection is actually not necessary, but I put it there just in case. Because as far as I know, like the CLJ-A266 has 3 VCC pins and I'm only powering 2. And I think they're all connected internally anyway, because they're just labeled VCC, not like VCC1, VCC2. So I think just one of those connections should be enough. And then another thing is this pad. So the interesting thing about the GTX 580 reference PCB is you have 2 solder points for a vCore PWM controller. Because to make this thing work, you need to give it an enable signal. Usually that comes from the GPU, but the GPU is no longer there. So we have to fake the enable signal, which is also done by this 3.3 volt signal that we're going to send into it. Now you want to connect this to the enable pin of the CLJ-A266. Problem is, on this PCB, the enable pin goes straight into a via, like into the PCB, so there's nothing you could really solder to except the pin itself, and that's way too small. So yeah, the fix that MLLR, KLLR put out is you just look for the via on the front, use a Skypelos or like an X-Acto blade, you scrape the solder mask off that via and solder to it from the front. I did something different, because the 580 and also 480 reference PCB have the second empty solder point for another PWM controller that controls the core, like vCore. So you could put another CHI-8266 and all its surrounding circuitry on there. Why did NVIDIA put this there? I don't know, but I'm really happy that they did, because the solder pad for that, well, if you can put another controller there, that controller is going to have another enable pin. And I checked with the multimeter, that enable pin is connected to the enable pin of this one. So these are, at least those enable pins are connected. So I just soldered onto the solder pad where the enable pin of that second controller would be, and I checked the enable pin of this. It's getting 3.3 volts now, and the entire thing turns on, which pretty nice. So now this works. So yeah, and now I have voltage control on it. I can use this. I was thinking of making some final adjustments, like I don't want to plastic dip the controller yet because I might run into overcurrent protection. I don't think I will, but I might, and I would have to desolder a resistor or something like that for that to work. But I'm gonna plastic dip this, I'm gonna plastic dip this, and maybe this. But yeah, the rest I'm gonna keep. And then I was thinking of, I have this fan from the HD7770 that died, and you still have the fan connector on this, and the fan connector works. So I was thinking of putting the fan into this connector and somehow putting the fan on here. Like I should have to, I'm gonna have to put a spacer in between. But I was thinking, oh, touch the phone pad. I was thinking of putting the fan on here, so now this thing has its own integrated cooling system. So I don't have to deal with pointing a fan at it, and because I'm not doing anything with this anyways. So yeah, this is pretty much ready to go. Like I've said, some minor final adjustments. Plastic dipping things into place. I think I'm gonna cut this part of the plate off, so I get better access to these parts. And yeah, and then maybe put that fan on there. And that would be it. Then I would have my working e-power. And I'm kind of thinking of what am I gonna put this on. So I had the 460 SE. And currently, as I'm recording this, FZR from the Linus Tech Tips Discord also got a 460 SE. And he's trying to beat my HW bot score. And I can't let that sit on me, so I'm kind of thinking of getting this to work again. I had a lot of fun with this. And yeah, if I not managed, if I don't get the e-power to work and kill this card in the process, it's a 460 SE. Don't really care. So yeah, I was thinking of e-powering this one, but as I've said, the memory rail, it is complete, isn't it? Yeah, all the MOSFETs are there, the controller is here. It's just been acting weird. I think it's putting out 800 millivolts or something, or 1 volt, which is not enough. You want at least 1.6 volts. So something weird is going on with that VRAM. I might be able to get it back to work, or I might just e-power it. Which then would be a problem because this memory rail is not working. And as I've said, I've pretty much given up on getting it to work. Though I have this one, which has the memory rail working, just VCore doesn't work on this. So I could technically use both of these e-powers to then e-power both of these rails, and then well, memory isn't that high counter, I could just maybe try to solder 12 volts to this, and then I don't have to bother with putting these connectors in. Sense pins are jumped anyway. So yeah, the only thing is now you have 2 bulky extra power boards hanging off the card, which is not that big in the first place. And it's just gonna be a cable management nightmare. But I mean, I really want this to work. This is a really, really nice heatsink that this has. And the VRM, like, it's also a 6-phase, but it's using better MOSFETs as far as I remember, and it's also using a better layout. Like, the MOSFETs are not that close to each other. They're really spaced out and like have this really good heatsink. And also has some nice solder points here. Like, I really want the Z-Power to work on Core also. It's just that the ADP 4100, it is, I think, is giving me a hard time. Because as soon as I connect anything, like right now, it's actually gonna put out like 1 volt on the core. But once I put anything onto the thing that I'm actually wanting to power, it just shuts down. I don't know why. Like, I talked about this on the modding stream I did, and Bolt suggested something like it's gonna be in low power mode. I'm gonna have to look back into what he said. So he talked about some potential fixes for this. Now that this is working, maybe I'm gonna find the motivation to deal with this. But right now, I'm really happy that this works. And yeah, I'm gonna look into making those final adjustments. And then I guess I can get to e-powering things. Like, if I'm not gonna e-power this one, I'm gonna e-power the, where is it? There you are. I'm gonna e-power this one, the MSI GTX 970, because that memory rail still works, and that PAX rail also still works. The only thing that didn't work on this was the core, which you see I've already prepared. Like, I'm gonna have to scrape up the solder mask for this. But like, this just needs a core VRM, and then it's gonna work, hopefully. Like, I never knew what the problem of this was. It's just as soon as there's a PWM controller, there for core, like, everything shuts down on this card, and I don't know why. So yeah, I don't know what's wrong with this. This might be dead because maybe there was a short, like, well, no, I didn't find any short circuit, like a major one. I think there was just something wrong in the control circuitry of this thing. So yeah, this should work if I just e-power the core. The only problem is, yeah, it's gonna be on like this, and then I have the power connectors on the bottom. And if I put it on like this, it's gonna be kind of weird for the wires to connect, and it's also gonna be hard to cool down the power board. So yeah, I don't know yet how I'm gonna connect it. It's kind of, yeah, having the VRM on the left side, it's kind of annoying. But yeah, like, these are the two candidates I'm thinking of. The Palette 970 needs both core and memory e-powered. Basically, I mean, it's basically like the 460, just that the memory there definitely doesn't work, whereas the 460 might be fixable. So yeah, if I like, now where I've made one of these, I know how to make more of them. And yeah, I could just keep picking up dead 580 reference boards and just keep, like, I'm gonna try to get all of these back to work. The thing is, just like I've done with this card, I don't need that many 580 reference cards. Currently I have 3 working GTX 580 reference cards. One of these, the green PCB one, that's just a collector's item. I'm not gonna like do anything to that. But the other 2, the new Zotac one and then the Nvidia reference one, those are enough. I can run SLI with those if I ever want to, like, for whatever reason, want to run reference SLI and not my Lightnings. But yeah, 2 working plus that collector's one is enough for me. If I'm gonna pick up another broken one and manage to fix it, I'm just gonna do the same thing again, where if I get it fixed, I'm gonna bin it, and then I'm gonna, like, get the worst card and turn it into an e-power. So yeah, literally natural, I mean, I don't know if it's literally, but like, natural selection. The strong survive. And this card was not that strong, that's why it's an e-power now. And we're coming up on 20 minutes, and I think I've said everything I wanted to say. So yeah, e-power works. I have voltage control. Memory, sadly, well, I guess I destroyed that, but core works, that's the important bit. Memory was like a bonus, didn't work out, maybe next time. But yeah, I'm gonna make some fine adjustments to this, and then I guess it's going onto the 460 SE or the MSI 970. And with that, thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed, and until next time, goodbye.